All right, shout out to all the people on the clips asking me to make a video about this because it's about time I did. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a tour of the nuclear power plant that we have been working on during the Friday streams. It's a 36 reactor power plant, and we're not ready for a full factory tour yet, maybe after next week. But for now, we're going to head over to the nuclear power plant over here in the swamp. This was requested by a few people. They want just the full breakdown of what the heck is going on here. Over there is the reprocessing center. We'll get there soon. Over there is the aluminum factory. That's a story for another time. But this right here is the 36 reactor nuclear power plant. Now, all of this can be fed with one uranium node pumping out 300 uranium per minute. One of my blueprints will feed 3 of these reactors. So the whole centerpiece of this entire thing is this blueprint here. Come on, there you go. This blueprint right here. This is everything you need to go from basically raw materials straight to one fuel rod. So it ends with the uranium fuel rod alternate recipe uranium fuel unit. That's putting out 0.6 per minute, and that will be enough to feed 3 reactors. As you can see, I got the belts running out right there. Of course, the reactors are going to consume 240 water per minute. So out on the beach here, we've got 2 water extractors per 1 nuclear reactor. So the blueprint itself has 7 inputs. It's got uranium, sulfur, raw quartz, iron ingots, deuterium ingots, copper ingots, and rubber. The values are all in there. And of course, you can have this blueprint. I'll have a link down in the description below, or you can come on by the Twitch channel and there's a link to it there. And you can hit the follow button while you're on your way. The blueprint has the labels for what you're going to need to put into it. And what I do is I put one big logistics floor underneath the whole operation. And you can see there's the radioactive material going out. That's the reprocessing. We'll get to that in a bit. But underneath is where all the inputs are. So you got copper goes here. Over on this side, the signs are kind of covered up, but trust me, it'll tell you that you need uranium and you need sulfur over there too. And then on this side over here, there's 4 inputs. You've got your iron, your deuterium, your rubber, and the quartz. So all of that is getting put up to the second floor of the blueprint, which is making copper sheets. And those copper sheets are going to make AI limiters. There's steel pipes being made out of iron. We got iron wire, of course, and all of it has been, I did this math ages ago. I'm pretty sure it's still accurate because the reactors are still online. Up here, it starts to get a little more complicated. We're making stators for the electromagnetic control rods. We're making AI limiters, which are for the electromagnetic control rods and for some parts upstairs. We'll get there in a minute. One thing I do want to point out, if you use this blueprint, this splitter, this smart splitter, is a little bit funky. Basically what it is we're putting out 2.6 AI limiters per minute, but this assembler is only consuming 2 of them, and the one upstairs is only consuming 0.6. So I set this so that it would feed the one that requires more first, just so they wouldn't get bogged down. I would recommend manually stuffing these machines if you build this blueprint. I had to do that because it does take a long time for those AI limiters to catch up and pressurize. I don't know if it's entirely necessary to do the overflow to balance it out that way, but it's been working since I set it up, so I've just left it alone. We've got electromagnetic control rods here. We got rotors being made. So up at the top, we've got crystal oscillators being made. That's the rubber, the AI limiters, and the quartz. And again, we're using the alternate recipe for that. And then we got the quartz crystals and then the silica being made here, and that's going to feed the uranium cells, which again uses the alternate for the infused uranium cells, sulfur, uranium, silica, quick wire. So all of that comes together to finalize at the uranium fuel rod, and then I plug that directly into the reactors. So there are 12 of this blueprint across the whole plant, and then on the side over here, again, we're all the way down in the southeast here in the swamp. This is going to get you all the this is all the stuff we need. So I got an oil node that we're tapping. We're actually using the resource well there, and that's making us the rubber, which the extra heavy oil residue, that's making fuel to just burn off in these generators. So you get a little extra power on top of the 90,000 that we're producing from all these reactors. You get just a little bit extra to burn off the fuel. And then of course I'm using all the pure recipes for Caterium, for copper, for iron. That way, you put a little extra water in there, use a little electricity, which this map is 2x on the power, so it's using 60 per refinery, not 30. But that's all getting done. That's all getting taken care of there. I can put all the numbers in the description if you like, if you want to know exactly how much you need. But again, if you look at the blueprint, it'll tell you how much you need, and then you just multiply that by however many reactors you want to put in your nuclear power plant. All of this is going to be putting out 360 nuclear waste per minute, and that's getting reprocessed over here. So let's head over that way. Okay, so here is the top-down view of our reprocessing facility. The main thing to pay attention to is these rows right here. There are 3 rows of blenders, and each one has a particle accelerator at the end of it. That's kind of the heart of the whole operation here. We got the non-fissile uranium recipe. So you got uranium waste going in, 30 per minute, and then silica, nitric acid, and sulfuric acid. I'm making nitric acid over here, and it's just water, nitrogen gas, and iron plates. I think I got one little node tapped right over here, just making enough iron plates to make. You don't need a lot of iron plates to make the nitric acid, but I did overclock it just so I got this little guy in the corner. And then the nitric acid is going to feed into this non-fissile uranium, and the non-fissile heads on over here. And don't forget, you got to backfeed this water. It's got to go somewhere. The plutonium pellets are being produced 36 per minute, so I had to overclock it a little bit. This also uses 30 uranium waste. So you figure 360 uranium waste coming out of the nuclear reactors, and then that is feeding these 3 rows, which it's 30, 30, 30, 30, so that's 120. 120 times 3, 360. Look at that. We're doing math. Doesn't it just awful? No, I love it. I'm okay with it. I'm willing to do it. I think the thing with this game is when you have to do math in it, it doesn't feel like a chore like doing algebra in high school used to be. It feels like you're exercising a skill you have. I think I've gotten better at my job at work because I'm a little quicker with my math skills because I do so much at this. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. Down here, we have the bleed off overflow protection, backup protection, whatever you want to call it. What it is all of the nuclear waste comes down to one belt. All 36 reactors, it puts out 360, like I said, nuclear waste, and that comes into this belt, and it feeds through this smart splitter, which has overflow protection. And what I do here is I feed these 5 cans, and as you can see, there's some backup. A little while ago, had a bit of a snafu. Some handsome fellow around here, can't imagine who that would be, didn't do the math correctly on the concrete, and I'll get to that in a minute. But what I do to bleed it off, now that it's full, is I will overclock the particle accelerators and everything after that to make sure the pellets get consumed. And what I do is use this priority merger, which I have disconnected right now, but what I'll do is I'll hook this up, and then this can bleed off the extra when I'm overclocked. But since I'm not overclocked right now, I'm just leaving it apart. I come back here periodically and I check on it. Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of backup now, but I come back here periodically and I check up on it and make sure it's not backing up into all the bins. And then over here, when we had that little error, we had a bunch of backup. So I had some extra non-fissile that wasn't being used, and some extra pellets, and I had to put them in here in my bin of shame. So this is all the extra radioactive material that I wasn't able to burn off. Eventually I'd like to get rid of it, but it's not hurting anything just sitting in the bin. So over here we are producing alclad aluminum sheets, and then we've got silica going on, we've got quick wire going on, all of this stuff coming together for the different products we need to put together the plutonium fuel rods for the waste. So the encased plutonium cells, this is where I fell short. I didn't put enough concrete into the pipeline to feed these machines. I did some terrible math. Again, I'm no math genius. I'm passable at best, but that's what makes it fun, makes it a challenge. So anyway, I didn't have enough concrete going on, so this didn't consume enough of the pellets, and they got backed up the waste. The whole thing was a mess, but that's all sorted out now. I got that straightened out. Down below over here, I've got a few more machines going on. These are producing the concrete using the wet concrete alternate recipe. We're making steamed sheets for the copper sheets, and we're doing pure copper. That's all. And we got some pure iron going on. That's all, again, feeding all of these machines up here. We got stators going on as well because we need to make electromagnetic control rods, and we need to make heat sinks. The heat sinks are brutal. That's what the alclad is for. So all of that is feeding the plutonium fuel rods. That's basically where it ends. I got 8 manufacturers making plutonium fuel rods, all to feed this one awesome sink down here. Now, eventually, I do want to start burning off those fuel rods, and then we're going to take that plutonium waste and we're going to make fixonium. I have never made fixonium. That's something we're going to be doing on the stream. Again, I stream this game Friday night, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Central Time every single week. Sometimes we also do Saturday night, and then we'll also end the weekend Sunday nights after our regularly scheduled programming. I do stream other games besides Satisfactory. I can go ahead and go over the actual numbers here. So I just went ahead and added signs to everything to kind of give you an idea of the numbers we're dealing with. Putting out 40 non-fizzle a minute per blender. Over here, we're putting out, I think it's 30 nitric acid per blender times 4, so that's 120, which is enough to feed all of these because they need about, only 12 a piece. And there's 9 of them. And then we've also got, the steel beams getting cooked over here, 120 minute for the Alclad. And we're also using the aluminum to make the steel beams, the aluminum beam alternate recipe. And then we're getting the, it's 36 cells per minute, the encased plutonium cell. And then, of course, we're making the heat sinks, the stators, the electromagnetic control rods, which is what the stators are for, the AI limiters for the electromagnetic control rods. All of that feeds this to make 2 plutonium fuel rods per minute. And this is kind of overclocked and overfed. At this point, it's fine if this is overfed as long as the pellets are getting consumed and the plutonium cells aren't getting backed up or anything. So that's pretty much all I've got as far as this goes. I know it's not finished aesthetically. There's a saying on the Thordy Undead channel, we'll make it pretty later, and that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this pretty later. Why is this yellow? I need to investigate. Oh, I'm not getting enough water. So I'm gonna have to dig in and find out why that's barely not getting enough water. This is a common occurrence. Once you put the whole reprocessing center together, I do encourage you to babysit it a little bit, make sure everything is laid out right. All my numbers are not exact, they're not perfect. I'm not going to give you a whole spreadsheet because I didn't even make one for myself. I do encourage you to do your own math and make sure you sort it out, but this should at least kind of give you a basic understanding of what you're going to need in order to build the reprocessing center. Honestly, the reprocessing is way more complicated than actually building the nuclear facility, in my opinion. If this video has been of help for you, please hit the like button. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. You can also come by the channel on Fridays when we're streaming Satisfactory. I'm always happy to answer questions and talk about this game. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you're setting up a nuclear power plant yourself and you just want a little bit of assistance, it's not just myself. Plenty of the folks in the Thordy Undead Discord would be happy to help. Feel free to ask questions, fill up that comment section. I do monitor it as best I can. This is also one of my first long-form YouTube videos, so constructive criticism is acceptable. I do want to make more. I'm thinking we might make a rocket fuel factory. I've made one before, but it has been a long time, or a rocket fuel power plant for that matter. I have made one before, so it shouldn't be it's not much more complicated than this, so we can go over that. I'd love to make more long-form videos. If you have ideas for them, again, the comments are right downstairs. That's all for now. We will make this pretty later during the stream, I promise. Anyway, good luck, have fun, good game, and I'll see you next time.